Against my better judgment and my never-ending quest to build my YouTube channel, I went to go watch Gladiator 2 last night, and I left the theater with one burning question. Why didn't I drink a couple more glasses of wine? Then I thought, who told Ridley Scott this film was a good idea? Who did he have to convince that this would be a winner? When developing a film, you need to ask yourself, is there a compelling story to be told? Is there a reason to waste a few $100 million and countless actors and crew members' time to put said idea on film? I feel that Ridley Scott must really want to relive his glory years, when he was a creative, young, fresh, innovative director. Like a prize fighter that's well beyond his prime, Scott felt he had the mental acuity to remain relevant, just like a certain United States president I won't mention. Before I forget, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, please. So I'm not going to go too deep into spoilers or anything like that. I'm just going to let you know what worked and what didn't in an abstract sense. Okay, so what worked? The cinematography was good, just good. The set pieces and costume designs were magnificent, as they should be. Seasoned professionals worked on this at the peak of their craft. And that's all. Now, what didn't work? I found the story to be mostly a rehash of the first entry in the series, utilizing many of the same plot points of the original, but without the development of the main and supporting characters. I'll talk mainly about what we already know from the trailers, so don't worry about the spoilers until my next review. Our protagonist is Lucius. He's the son of Lucilla, the daughter of Marcus Aurelius from the first film. There's a bit of an explanation as to how he got to his current status as a gladiator, but the motivations and dialogue are so bland that I really didn't even end up caring too much about him or those around him. The action was a bit messy and mostly relied on CGI that was decent at best and wildly unbelievable at worst. I found that many times Pedro Pascal and Denzel Washington were poorly directed and one-dimensional. Like they were in an exaggerated rendition of Julius Caesar directed by Michael Bay. Much of the plot was predictable and many of the fight scenes seemed unbelievable and historically and logically inaccurate. I mean, they brought freaking sharks into the arena. Sharks, man. How the hell did they transport these wild and delicate creatures when they can hardly do that today? Another downright silly scene was a domesticated rhino scene. Are we to believe that someone brought rhinos from deep inside Africa and spent years trying to domesticate them for one fight? They're wild animals. They're not horses. You can't domesticate a rhino. The sibling emperors were another point of contention for me. They're caricatures, an approximation of what someone believes an evil person to be, lacking any real motivations except that they're evil. They were not fleshed out like Commodus. We really hated that guy. I mean, they did cruel things and all that, but mostly they annoyed me, and it's a shame. They had so much potential. Lines were sloppy and simple, and I didn't really care what happened to anyone. One of the biggest sins was the mystique built around the hero. It was so unearned. He ended up being a sad, contrived version of Maximus that I didn't particularly root for. Lastly, and I might seem a little nitpicky, was one of the most anachronistic problems we've seen on film since the Game of Thrones Starbucks coffee scene. We were treated to the combatants wearing tights under their terigues. Those are the defensive leather skirts that are multi-layered and have fabric strips on them, and that just took me out of the moment. I mean, this is a multi-million-dollar film. You didn't edit out the tights underneath their skirts so everybody can see? That's just lazy. So that's all I want to say without getting too much into spoiler territory. It's currently earned a 72% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a 5.6 score by audiences on Metacritic, which I think is extremely generous, but I'll update you on that later. I think it's kind of peaked and should probably be going down from here. If I'm being generous, I give it a 2 out of 5 reels, and that's because I really enjoyed some of the depictions of the Roman period of decline. They really do capture the waning empire quite well. Well, I don't recommend this film, and you would be better off treating the original as a standalone movie, which I think was the intended purpose of it. Anyways, that's my opinion. If you insist on tarnishing the memory of the original, let me know what you think, if I'm right or wrong in my assessment. And as always, keep watching movies.